Welcome back to another edition of the B4evaKool podcast. My name is Rex45.
My name is TJ with two O's and coffee.
Smitty from Smith Shot Racing.
It's your boy Track Stars.
What's going on, everyone? I'm already smiling because the weekend was ridiculous, so I don't even know where to start. But TJ, man, I mean, what do you think? What do you think about you saw the crash in the sprint? Or maybe that was me flipping the table over. I don't know. What were your thoughts on the sprint race, Bagnaia? I don't know if you got a chance to see like the practice sessions or anything. Martin was kind of, messing around with Pecco a little bit. All in the name, I think, for fun. But, what are your thoughts on the sprint race? Are you on board with Track Stars on this Martin all the way, or are you like me, the Celtics? We can still come back.
I'm the underdog, man. I'm the underdog. I gotta root for Martin. That's my guy. I root for him last year too. So I mean, going into this weekend, it was crazy. I was so excited. I mean, just watching that the qualifying, just for them battling, and Martin's the pole king. So him just trying to pull it out, and Pecco knowing what he has to do this weekend, and just showing what he got. I mean, it was just exciting to see them going back and forth. But going into the sprint, like I was saying, Martin got to get past all those dogs, man. He got to jump out front, and he was able to. I mean, it was a little bump and grind in the front, but he was able to hold the position. And like I always say, when Pecco chases, man, it's a little tough for him.
You've been saying that, huh?
Yeah, man. He has 8 DNFs. I mean, that was one of them. So, and the pressure was on him. It was crazy to happen so early in the race, but it was a sight in it for sure. And Martin was able to pull it out.
Yeah, a little bit. Smitty, man. TJ mentioned Martin, trying to get pole. He didn't get pole. Bagnaia got pole.
Right.
What were your thoughts on it and your expectations as far as did it turn out the way you thought it was going to be? I don't think we talked about Bagnaia kind of crashing out because as TJ has said in the past, and who was going to make the mistake first. But I honestly thought it was going to be Martin that was going to make the mistake first.
But what it seems like they kind of flip-flop who's being consistent now. So like right now, Pecco's just losing it mentally. Last year it was Martin, it seemed like. And then, but the year before that it was Pecco again. But to be honest, I ain't see a crash happen, honestly. I was totally shocked how it happened. The pressure's too much for him. And he's just trying to play catch up right now. He got to chase Martin and he got to beat him, and it's hard. It's hard to win a race when the pressure is on you and you have to win. And he's in he can't lose spot. And he just eating him up. He's good in practice. He had pace all weekend, and he should have won, but it just didn't happen. And for the sprints, like I heard he has. So the sprints from the actual race is different. You have less fuel. Setup's a bit different based on that, and I don't know, they say Friday practice. Does he practice the sprint setup or the race? Because it's hard. The time-wise, it's hard to do both.
Right.
And he's focused more on the racing than the sprints, and it shows. Like I said before, Martin, he's the sprint king. Pecco, in the races, he's better, but his lack of poise to break pressure is just it shows right now. So
Man, Track Stars. I know you got a lot to say, but I got a question. I got a question.
You know what Track Stars
Is Pecco's woman cheating on him? I mean, what's going on? The drama? Did he catch him? What's going on?
Let me tell you, boy. Friday to Saturday, when you think of what kind of setup, the closest to identical setup would be your sprint race to your qualifying setup, right? Because You're just doing a certain amount of laps. You're coming back in, and then you refreshing the bike, and then you're going back out again for your fastest lap possible. And in the sprint, that's what you're doing. You're gonna do your fastest 12 laps possible. So you probably, even if we look at the lap times, it's gonna be closer to your qualifying times than even in the race. So we can't use that as an excuse as a Pecco fan or as a Martin fan. You can't really say that's what makes Martin so fast. No, I think Martin is the type of racer that he doesn't need time to think. He just needs time to go. And when he has too much time to think, when you go from, and you can tell even in his racing, right? His best laps are his first 10 laps. That's when you see either he puts super space between him and the grid, or he says, I have to really settle for what I got, because if I push any more than this, I think something bad's gonna happen. And he gets in his own head. But when there's 10 laps, to 12 laps, Martin's gonna annihilate anything in front of him. And the gift that he got this year is his race starts. He knows he cannot be in anywhere near another VR46 bike, including his teammate, because he knows. Yeah, he knows, like, yeah. If he puts him in a position where this guy has to choose between him, his teammate, and his VR46 family, his blood is thicker than water, baby, and I might have to do something. So he doesn't even trust to put his own teammate behind him.
Right.
So he's pulling away from the grid every time, and that's why you see these starts are amazing by Jorge Martin, no matter where he is on the grid. Almost identical to Marc Marquez. Marc Marquez knows that he has a whole grid against him. So if he doesn't get that start correct, he's gonna have a hard time going through all that grid. Like, it's not gonna be easy. People are gonna battle back and forth with him. Right. Meanwhile, Pecco could fuck up the start. If Pecco's behind you, I'm sure there's some type of sign, and they're gonna let him go around pretty easy. But then as the race went on, like I've been saying, Pecco's been vulnerable this year. Pecco has shown that those links on that armor are not as tight as they were last year. There's little kinks, little spaces where I see you, and Jorge's putting his knife right through there and stabbing him, because he knows he has to stab him as many times as possible, because it's not even over now.
No, it's not over at all. But let me ask this. Do you really think, and this is for all three guys, do you think it's Pecco making a mistake, or are they, ghosting the machine, as far as, because, it seems like when Martin crashes out and Pecco crashes out, they're not sure why they crash out. It's like there's something in the bike. Sometimes, like this past season, it seems like some of the crashes, obviously not all, there's clear ones that are blatant. Do you think that there's just a gremlin in the machine, that the software maybe doesn't work right a certain time, and they lose the bike and crash out, or you just think he just made a mistake? In this case, Pecco.
I mean, I think it's rider error. I mean, they got to be perfect. 12 laps, and then GP race 20 plus laps. I mean, there's bumps in the track that we don't even see that they ride through. I think the machine, they do all these laps. I think the machine's running pretty good if they're running up front. So most of the time, I think it's a rider error that we just don't see. I mean, that's what I can think of.
Nah, so to add to what TJ said, I agree. I think most crashes anyway are rider error, to be honest, and it's the pressure. You're on the edge the entire race. You just push too hard, and you go over the edge, and you crash. That's it. I don't think it's the bike at all. Unless you're Marquez on a Honda last year, then it's the bike.
He was pushing too.
Right.
I think it's this happened last year. Remember, Martin supposedly got a bad tire. You remember that? Yes. on the last race? I think it's an adaptation to the new tires. You know what I'm saying? Now isn't it Pirelli now?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
You double check that for me.
Oh no, hang on. I'll check. Keep going.
But I think it's a combination of things. I think definitely what we're seeing with Pecco necessarily is definitely he's feeling the pressure. It's a lot to go and set world records within MotoGP and to also feel the record of a championship back to back. It's a lot. And as strong-minded as Pecco is, I'm telling you, like this year, it means a lot. Number one, your team has so much drama in it, and you know what your teammate is going to be next year. And he is the king. You're the king of MotoGP 2 years in a row, right? And now you're still going to be no one on a team where you were the champions twice in a row because you got a 7-time champion coming. You know what I mean? Like, to your team that you're going to play second to.
No,
you know what I'm saying? It's like LeBron.
I disagree with that.
You could disagree with it all you want. If Michael Jordan comes to the Lakers right now, he's still second to LeBron.
Yeah,
LeBron
Jordan
will still be second to Jordan.
Michael Jordan going to a team with 6 rings and a team that doesn't have any rings, but Michael Jordan going to Cleveland that got 2 rings that never had any rings before or hadn't had a ring in a long time. They still gonna Ducati has a love for Pecco. They gave him 2 championships. Like, as much as they love Casey Stoner, they love Pecco even more.
Jordan could have gone. It could have been Kobe going to. You know what I'm saying? LeBron going to play with Kobe. You understand?
The Italians stick together.
Well,
sure.
So I mean, I think it might be low key that they may act like Marquez got more love, but it's gonna be hard to see those guys, and they've been wanting.
Listen to me, Rex.
You'll see next year, though.
I haven't gotten a word wrong yet, my brother. I really haven't. And the thing is the history, you know what I'm saying, of MotoGP, and the history of MotoGP with the king of MotoGP, which is regardless what company is in the lead, the king will always be Ducati. The dream bike is always a Ducati bike. You understand? On that grid, no matter that Ducati could have been placed last every single race, and it has the most fans out there. You know what I mean? Besides Valentino Rossi.
Gotcha.
So when Valentino Rossi came to Ducati, that was like the ultimate. I bet you the numbers of sales at races were astronomical. You know what I mean? Like the numbers had to be the highest ever, and the viewing had to be the highest ever. And it was probably one of the worst seasons for Ducati. And here we are, many years later with another almost identical situation where you have this king of riding who's almost aging out coming to Ducati. they've dealt with this card before, and they'll deal with it every single time. You'll see that top of the top rider come to Ducati.
Yeah.
And I'm not shocked at all that Marquez is coming, but these are the things that are affecting its riders. You know what I mean? Like, these are the things that will be detrimental to Ducati next year, as far as the MotoGP team, not any satellite team under it. Ducati's top of tier team, almost killing itself.
Well,
it would have been ideal for them to put Jorge Martin next to Pecco.
Right.
That would have been the ideal team. They have so much respect for each other, yet they're so competitive that they would have been the team. It would have been like, yo, let's go 1-2, and then we'll battle for first.
Okay.
With Marquez, there's no 1-2. I'm 1 and 1. So play your position, go to the back. Don't make me make a phone call to Wowdy.
I don't.
All the ideal plans didn't go to plan.
I don't. We'll see. I don't think that's going to happen. I do not. But we'll see. But let's get into the main race, the MotoGP race, which was crazy. I mean, even to go back to the sprint, doing 157s in the race. Both. I think both riders did. It was crazy. But the first few laps, like Smitty was saying, I believe off air, was amazing.
Insane.
Like I want the whole race to be like that.
Yeah, I said the same shit. Go ahead,
Smith, man. Talk.
Man, first off, the race start was crazy. Like for them two off the line, it was just being side by side, just fighting position because Pecco had no choice but to get into turn 1 first. And that fight was just ridiculous. No, I don't know. Martinez's stars is just impeccable, But that was just a good sight to see. Is on the edge of my seat at that race start. But I just want to say I hope Jack Miller is doing all right, because after that turn 3, as I was just so excited for the race start, that crazy incident, which was a pretty bad crash. Still don't know who caused it. You kind of can see a little bit, but other than that race was just such a battle. Them going back and forth, and to understand, I guess they understood that they had to fight to be in front because how hot it was and the risk of being close to each other for so long. Someone had to give.
So, like I said, the race first couple laps, best racing I've seen in a long time, actually. But Pecco, he eventually pulled away, won by probably 4 seconds. But from a standpoint of strategy, you think Pecco should pull away, try to pull away that fast, or slow the field down, let the other guys kind of get in, mix things up, and kind of push Martin back a little bit? What's your thoughts on that, Track Stars, man? From a standpoint of strategy.
No. Remember that you. First of all, how the race started, like TJ said, they had that incident in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Which forced the restart.
Yeah.
And that's a ideal. That's a major point that happened within the race that probably changed the program for everyone involved, including Martin and Pecco and every other bike that's out there, right? Because it wasn't the perfect scenario as far as the track involved. And every track they go to, we forget that sometimes they're not even racing against each other. They're racing really against the track. And especially when the elements play this role where you have mixed conditions and tire choice. Remember, Pecco went with a complete different setup to Martin. Martin went with the medium front, and Pecco had the soft front. You know what I'm saying? So even that, they knew that, yo, we're not choosing the same thing. I'm gonna lose on my term, and I'm gonna win on my term. So even the bike setup was part of the whole dilemma. So initially, maybe the idea was to say what you said. Let's keep him within the pack and give somebody the opportunity to come between us.
Yeah.
But what happened? Even playing that, so right after the restart, so damn, now Miller's out, and we don't know in what condition
Brad
was, or
Quartararo.
because there was 3 bikes,
Quartararo.
and Quartararo, right? Who's been in the mix lately, right? He comes anywhere, even up to 5th, right?
Yeah, he finished.
All
6th.
of a sudden, he's a factor, and who's he helping? You know what I mean? So trust me that none of these riders are helping Martin. I don't believe so. So then the restart play comes into play, and who comes in the mix again? Martin. I mean Marquez.
Right.
So, and we don't know. Marquez seems to be on Martin's side. I have a feeling like Spaniards are saying, "Yo,
Not just you.
We aligning forces."
That's why when you're saying you don't know who's sticking together, I think it's aligned by country. But go ahead.
We can say it
In a love way, no hate either side, obviously.
But I think also there's a really strong competition for between Marquez and Martin too, for that. I'm the representative of Spain, not you. But if Martin gets this championship this year, now Spain has a new person with the flag inside, you know,
Right.
holding that up. So I saw some of that this weekend, especially within Pecco and Martin going at it. I've never seen Marquez sit behind anybody.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Yes.
So
I've never seen Marquez do that once.
he was daydreaming, man. He was daydreaming. I mean, that was such a good sight.
I think that he did it out of respect for those two and let them battle it out instead of getting in the way. And I think a younger Marquez, like he did in the past, well, you know, I won't mention what year, but everybody know, he got in the way. You know what I'm saying? I think he just was like, you know, and the pace, and I think that Martin forced Pecco to run that pace. You know what I'm saying? So I think Martin forced Pecco to run that pace, which forced Marquez to crash because he couldn't stay with them. And you know, whether he should have chilled or not, I don't think Marquez has a chill button. So I don't know if you guys saw it that way, but that's how that's how I saw it.
AJ.
I mean, if we go back to the sprint, he was putting pressure on Martin still. So he finished less than a second behind him. So he was definitely, like you said, Rex, old Marquez probably would have made his move, but out of respect of what was due, he didn't probably want to, you know, be a story, you know. So I think he was just having fun watching the battle, and I think he was just daydreaming, and he let it slip. You know, he was able to get back on the bike and continue, but I mean, it was just, I'm sure he was behind them like 6-7 laps, I think.
Yeah, he finished 12th overall after getting back on the bike too.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good, but the whole thing with that is with Marquez is on an older bike trying to run the pace of a newer bike, and that's why he crashed. It's just hard, you know?
We can't use that anymore. He won the sprint in GP. We can't use that anymore.
Hey, he's been on the podium. All that.
I think he fell back into Honda riding tendencies.
Nah, if any one of y'all believe that Marc Marquez is on a real 2023 bike, you guys are bugging.
You think he's
We don't know.
You think he's on a 24?
That must be the fastest 2023 bike, even in 2023. You get what I'm saying? If this bike was in 2023, this would have been the 2025 spec bike. You know what I mean? Like, stop it.
No, well,
he got this. this bike is to the tens. You know what I'm saying? Stocked. It has a 2023 chassis with 2025 everything on it.
How you gonna get past tech?
But that's what I'm telling you. Is it to me? Electronics play such a big factor, and I don't think it's something that we could track and we could hook it up to something and say, yeah, this is a 2025 spec right here. Nah.
I mean,
he was taking Marquez's riding ability away.
Right. I was gonna say that. Yeah. Like he rode the Honda well until nobody could ride it.
No, but then again, what happened to him? He damn near killed himself on that Honda for 2 years straight.
Yeah.
He couldn't ride the thing. All of a sudden, he's a god on Ducati. Finishes almost every race.
Well, he was a god.
He definitely hurt himself a few times.
Yeah.
No, but nonetheless, listen, I still give Marquez his credit. I'm not taking nothing of his ability to ride a motorcycle. But I know that this bike is not. We're going to know next year, my man, because that bike is, we're going to know for sure. It's 2025. And we're going to know that Martin's going to, Pecco's going to be on the 2025. The only thing that sucks is that Martin will not be on a Ducati.
I think so. Yeah. I would say Martin, Bastianini, Bezzecchi, all three of those guys, I would honestly say. I mean, at least Gian Antonio is going to be on a 2024 bike, but that's going to be the biggest thing. What do you guys got to say about, the Aprilias and where they are? They were quiet this whole weekend.
Quiet for a while.
No,
they've been quiet for a while.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you gotta let you go. No, I mean, I ain't got nothing to really say about them. They've been quiet, and there's been no hype about them, and yeah, they're just been no improvement for the last, let's say, quarter of the races.
They've been quiet, but he's still what? Got sixth place, seventh, Maverick.
Seventh.
He got seven.
Yeah,
he got seven.
Not bad. It's still a top 10 finish, And he beat some good guys behind him, so
they do a good race for him. Yeah, they do a good salvage job.
We expect more out of them.
Right.
We fall in the same thing, right? Like, who finishes the race? You know what I mean? Like, do you get credit for finishing the race? Like, Marquez crashes, Jack Miller, all these top names crash out, and Maverick's a top name. But I think for real, guys, let's not forget, MotoGP does a horrible thing, which is sign riders the year that they are signed to a motorcycle. I would love for them to sign the riders at the end of the year. Like, you cannot announce anything until the end, or negotiate with a rider until the end of the year. Because I think the riders check out. I don't give a fuck. I'm not in contention for the championship. Like, fuck this manufacturer and this bike. I'm leaving here next year anyway. So you don't got no incentive to really compete, other than your own self-right of competition. Because all these guys are MotoGP riders because they're competitive within themselves. But I think it plays a factor on Maverick Vinales, who knows I'm leaving this team next year.
Okay.
I think we will see. Remember how Maverick Vinales started and how it finished after the negotiations for the contract went south and they said Martin's coming here. Right. I think you see the different personality in there too, and you even see the different personality in people like Bastianini too. When he was told, this is your last year, no, now I'm going to prove that I know how to ride and I can ride this bike and win on this bike, and you're going to regret your decision. So you see it in both ways. Everybody's minds feels disrespect in a different way. Some people with disrespect are inspired to compete. Some people with disrespect are discouraged from competing.
Right.
So I think this is what we're seeing, and MotoGP needs to get that right.
I completely agree.
I agree to that.
What about Anoni? You guys like his performance? I mean, it was good to see.
He was next to last place. What's to like about it, man?
Where did he qualify?
Well, qualifying, he looked
They
pretty
qualify
good in
well.
qualifying.
What, 16th?
No, he didn't qualify in 16th. I don't think.
At one point, he was top 10.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but like he had a high time where he was top 10 in time wise. Inione, that is super impressive. A man who hasn't been in a MotoGP bike in 5 years comes in and does his first few laps on the MotoGP and puts it in like 10th place as far as time wise, even if it didn't last. The guy was on.
Yeah.
He was on. Now he did say that he damn near felt like he was dying trying to keep that bike competitive in the front.
No, I can
Completely
imagine.
different.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say he said it was completely different from the time that he was in MotoGP, and then being in World Superbike, and then just jumping on a new GP bike with all the aero and all that stuff. And he said he hit the limit, but I mean, it's just a lot of controls, man. I'm just sure you got to learn the track as well. It's just so much, so much in one weekend. I mean, he definitely started out good. I don't know if he burnt himself out because he finished second to last in both races, but it's good to see him out there.
Good to see him out there. 47 seconds behind Pecco in the GP.
I mean, that's...
He didn't get lapped.
That ain't bad. Right, I
Give
mean,
him another shot.
That ain't bad to be back, but I mean, it is what it is,
It,
Give him another shot.
we should have had some state before the race,
Yeah, I think he gets the last 2 rounds, right? I think he's.
Okay.
I don't know.
He has another.
Yeah, I
Right.
think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's doing both rounds. I don't. Yeah, because
Yep.
the Gin Antonio's done for the
100%.
season.
100%. He comes back. He's gonna get another shot at the bike. And who knows? Who knows what's to come? I think Inione will be back at MotoGP. Even if it is as a what they call the guest riders,
Wild card.
a wild card. But if teams get introduced, if that BMW team get introduced and people start moving around again, I could see a seats filling up for Inione. I can see Bulliger coming from World Superbike too, because they gave Inione the shot because he has the experience. And it was a good storyline for MotoGP. But I think definitely MotoGP wants to continue to keep getting younger, and a guy like Bulliger could end up easily in MotoGP.
Okay, fair enough.
I completely agree. Speaking of younger, the last round is coming up on us. Elijah Sparger is retiring at the end of the year. They really haven't done anything. No farewell tour for him or anything. He announced it and just kind of fell to the back of not the back of the pack, but he finished 13th on Sunday.
That is kind of dirty, He don't have no farewell, or at least they didn't even. He's announced that he was retiring. I think halfway through the season.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. They didn't really do much, but I definitely got to congratulate him to surviving, MotoGP, because a lot of riders can't. Go through the beginning to the end. They're either a team will let them go and they'll end up as a test rider or World Superbike or move on. So for him to retire, at 35 and still in MotoGP, that's a huge accomplishment. No matter the way he is, but
but as for a farewell tour, I mean, he's not Rossi. He's won half of the race his whole career. You know what I'm saying? So. He don't need a farewell tour. And no offense to the guy, I like him. He's solid. He belongs in GP, but he's not a champion. He's not somebody who's every week, he's a threat for the podium. He's just a guy, And every guy don't need a farewell tour, He's not LeBron, man.
I think I think they gave him his moment. You know what I mean? When he announced it, they showed his team crying with him and stuff like that. They showed the Martin hugging him. I think they're pretty close.
Right.
So, I don't think there was more than that. You know what I mean? Like when Jack Miller announced his retirement from MotoGP, it was a big deal because Jack Miller was on the biggest team in MotoGP, which is Ducati.
Which Jack Miller? The one that's still racing?
Yeah, he came back. but it was a big deal, and he's so loved and such a character within MotoGP. One of its main riders. Regardless of where he's placing, he's just a big figure and a big light within MotoGP, and he's been in so many eras. Even though Jack Miller, like, he's an older dude,
Another one.
he's a younger guy, but with a lot of mileage. Like, he's been in a lot of eras of MotoGP. So him leaving caused this big celebration every round where he was at. It was like a big deal. But Alesia's I don't think that type of figure in MotoGP. He's a great rider, great talent, and I'm sure he gets along with a lot of people. I'm sure he doesn't have enemies, but he's not Jack Miller as far as fan base.
No,
You might have Morbidelli and Jack Miller as an enemy now.
And also with Aleix, tell you what,
That's a fact.
with Aleix, right? Tell me his one most moment that's gonna always be in your head.
I can tell you that.
When he forgot the race was over, he thought it was over.
No, I was thinking Argentina or the British Grand Prix, or one of the ones he won. But I see what you're saying. We'll talk about that in when we get to Moto2, because Jake Dixon did the same thing as well and gave up third place to his teammate. So I guess it wasn't too bad. But Trackstar, you'd mentioned that MotoGP want younger riders. We know that you mentioned Jack Miller. I think he got into MotoGP at 15, which I don't even think they're doing anymore. Redden was another guy that got into MotoGP very young as well, and they, got 10 years in MotoGP, and I think Miller is just about 30 now and stuff like that. So do you guys think that we're gonna continue to see riders have longevity in MotoGP if they're healthy, or do you think it's gonna be kind of like 3 to 5 years? And these guys, if they're not on a top stage, they're done. Because we see it with Fernandez, who, he's gonna be a test rider for Yamaha. We saw it with Gardner, who now he's in World Superbike, and these guys that if they don't cut the mustard, they're kind of out. Do you think MotoGP is just gonna try to keep riders younger because they pay them less? So, or do you think there's a possibility of the Pedros to have the same shelf life that a Rossi or a Marquez is having?
I think depending on your capable of being a superstar, I can't see them pushing Pedro out just because they want to move in younger riders. He's already young, but I can see them trying to just weed in talent to see if they can make it more competitive, I guess. But it's competitive as it is. I like the longevity of the rider because it shows experience, even when younger riders come in. So I hope they don't make that type of change.
TJ, I agree. Seeing this guy stay, 5, maybe 10 years, it's cool to see. Like I said, it brings experience to the paddock. And probably he may have a young teammate, teach him a little bit of stuff. But like I said last week, those bottom 5 guys, whoever they are, you can't be there too long. You know what I'm saying? You got to go and make room for those new Moto2 guys, Because Moto2, it's a lot of good guys in Moto2 that I want to see come up, man. Hey, what y'all doing all no emotions for, man?
Because
Yo, cause you like that. You in the back of the pack, kill them off.
Right, man, just get out of here, man.
Yo, yo, you horrible. Yo, listen, man, that's your team. That's your bike causing them
Listen,
in the back
you
of
might
the
as well
grid.
have me back there, man.
Luca Marini was consistently in between the top 10 rider.
Yeah.
Consistently, and now
He
he's
was.
48th. You know what I mean? And listen, Honda's moving up in the grid. This is the second week in a row that he comes in top 15. You know, he's moving up the ladder. He's getting more comfortable, and yes, there's been a lot of crashes, so that moves riders up in front. But I like to give people credit for riding in unperfect conditions or in scenarios, getting through those hurdles of riders crashing in front of them and then making it out.
Right.
But seriously, I think that I'm not saying I almost rather the older riders make space for the newer riders. I don't like your format of like, if you're in the back, you need to give up those seats, because it's not necessarily the rider. I think a lot of the times it's the bike. And Honda's figured something out to make it rideable for Luca Marini and Mir and
Zarco.
But Zarco just looks comfortable on this bike. I'm scared for what he's gonna do next year.
Yeah.
You know what though? But in like Moto2 and Moto3, that's how it is. Those guys in the back, you ain't gonna see them next year.
Some of them get better rides. So some of them, because you look at Fernandez, Adrian Fernandez. He was on I don't remember what bike he was on until he got on the Leopard bike, and he's doing much better now. So I think the newer riders get the older bikes, and if they show like they got the mustard or got something, they get better seats and get better seats, or maybe they got more money or whatever. However, they get their seats. Before we get into Moto2 and a little bit of Moto3, let's talk about Taka Nakagami as well. He has one more round. And also we'll touch on, Valencia and the flood, and, a lot of people have lost their lives. I think MotoGP has a GoFundMe account to help with the citizens and the people over in Valencia. What are your guys' thoughts on? Well, let's talk about Taka Nakagami retiring, and we'll talk about the flooding and moving the last round to Barcelona. Here's another rider who, I guess in Smitty's eye, should have been out of MotoGP probably, 4 years ago. Taka Nakagami's retiring at the end of the year. One more ride for him. I was a big fan of his. I think, unfortunately, he came onto the Honda when the Honda started having problems. And I think he was one of the first riders to kind of deal with that. But he's going to be missed. He seems like a cool dude.
I like Taka, maybe he's been around for a while. Just like you said, bad timing, with Honda right now. So, but no fail towards Taka either, right? So,
that's crazy. I think Taka Nakagami, again, he wasn't, an A or even a B list rider, but he was definitely a big name in
Moto2,
in MotoGP period, because there's not a lot of Japanese riders, and he's been in that seat for so long, even with his
results,
his accolades, you know what I'm saying, his constant positioning within the MotoGP on a Japanese bike. But it says a lot for what he was and who he is. I think he should have gotten a better tour. I mean, he crashed out even in the Japanese. They took him out, right? I think it wasn't even that he crashed. I think they took him
out.
Yeah. So it's tough. I think he deserves something. But that's how it is. If you're not at least a B list rider in MotoGP, I don't think you're gonna get that.
Right.
And I mean, Taka, I mean, I was just always rooting for him to get first, second, or third. It just never happened in MotoGP. But I mean, like I said, he definitely showed out for his culture. Definitely being on the Japanese bike. And I wonder if that was just set in stone or if he just had no choice to go on to another manufacturer. But it was just still good to see him in MotoGP, just other cultures, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like he might. I don't know, but I'm sure he's getting a lot of money. It sounds like these Japanese
Yeah.
kids are getting a lot of
Of
money to
course.
represent the brand. He did get one pole position in Valencia, which he had crashed out on. His best podium finish is P8. I think he was leading the race a little bit too in mixed conditions. A couple of years ago, I think Bender might have won that race or something like that when he won, but. He's definitely going to be missed, but there's, some cat Cantra is going to replace him for next season, and Ayagura will be in the GP on Pro Year. So Valencia got hit with a lot of flooding. I mean, I saw some videos of it, man. It was pretty crazy. A lot of cars just piling up and just floating away. And from my understanding, at least 150 people have lost their lives and stuff like that. So, it was cool to see a lot of MotoGP riders and just MotoGP in general just showed a lot of love to the city or state, depends on how you look at it, where you are in the world. Any thoughts on and also your thoughts on them moving over to Barcelona to Cataluna?
Man, yeah, definitely. My condolences out to the Valencia and all the people that have to go through that because that's tragic. I mean, like you can't even walk down the street. I mean, no power, things missing, people missing. A lot of people lost their lives. Like, where do you start with the cleanup? Definitely need help from someone. But it sucks that it just right up onto the race. 2 weeks before that had to happen. But you don't want to see any of the people there to watch a performance like that, and you don't want to perform there. But it's good that MotoGP definitely counter-offered really quick to find another racetrack that they can, finish the season out because it's a nice ending to this season.
Okay. Yeah, so to mirror, what he just said, it's sad it happened. A lot of people lost, their lives. So I can't repeat what he said just now. But Barcelona is a nice track for a race. So, and that track has a lot of history, some good racing, some good last lap passes. The Rossi Lorenzo battles they had there. So I feel it's gonna be a great race. Especially there. But I hope the fans do show up and support for the race because I know even though it's a separate city, it's still Spain. So I'm sure the guys in Barcelona are hurting also, so it's going to be tough either way, but I think that the right choice was made to move it over there. So, and I cancel, the whole season. So
Right.
We'll see.
That would have been crazy.
I know.
Yeah,
and make my team champion.
My condolences too to everyone out there, man, being affected. It's just unbelievable how it happened, and the lack of awareness for the people there. Everything that I'm hearing on social media and even on the news is that they weren't even notified that this was coming their way with this type of severity.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't give them time to prepare and kind of even evacuate. A lot more people would have evacuated had they known with anticipation. But a lot of them stuck around because they didn't have the information. Unlike here, we knew that Florida is gonna get hit for days on days. It's kind of
Right.
like the build up and how intense this storm was gonna be, and even we still lost numbers, but we didn't lose the numbers that they lost.
Right.
just the photos are incredible of how cars are piled up on top of cars, and these streets are so small and narrow. So I could just imagine just vacating would have been insane, like to move this amount of people there. So I really feel bad for them, and how much it exposed even governmental problems that they have of funding, and where's the money, where's the help. So that sometimes in these situations where things go really bad is where you find out solutions to make sure this never happens again and make sure things go good. But people are really upset in that country, and I'm praying for them. I'm praying that they get solutions, and I'm praying that they get strength within themselves to get themselves out of this, because families have been destroyed, businesses, and it's gonna be hard to come back from it. But I believe in the Spanish people to be strong and positive, and to stay in their faith and come out of this as best as they can, and even better.
I completely agree. Let's move into Moto2. Celestine Viete came back from injury and pulled off something pretty impressive within the Moto2. TJ, I mean, I'm a fan of the VR46 Academy rider. I think, and you guys can all kind of, take turns and talk about this. I don't know I forget where he's going next year, but I wish he would have got another seat on that team for next year, because of injuries this year. I think he would have been a lot better if he was healthier and had a lot better results. Were you guys impressed, surprised that the rest of the field allowed him to come in and do this?
I mean, I don't know what team he's going to next year. Like you said, he's on KTM, so. But yeah, definitely. I think I'm surprised that they allowed him to come through like that. I mean, he is a super talent. Like I said, Jake Dixon had it in the bag, but a little mix up in the beginning. I mean, in the end, to allow that to happen. But I think there's a lot, like the top 6 or 7 are all really close, within a couple seconds of each other. But yeah, for Viete to pull that off, that was pretty cool.
Celestino Viete. I mean, I was shocked, honestly. I ain't gonna lie, but like he said, Jake Dixon, he pulled in a leash, gave up too early. Then, at least, thankfully he lost only one spot, but still, podium was gone. But we'll see what happens. Next race.
Moto2 is that. You want to watch racing? Watch Moto2. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where it's at. The competition level is far more evened out than it is in MotoGP. Yeah. And remember, everyone's on the same platform, so right. it could be anyone's day if they're feeling good in Moto2, and this proves my point. I think that I've said that several times here. Moto2 is a place where you could be number 1 and then fall to top 10, and be in the top 10 and still be pleased with your performance, because you gave it all you got.
Right.
In MotoGP, if you're not top 3, you really could be a non-factor for a long time.
Getting shoulder exit by team owner Smitty.
Yeah, that's a fact. Chop it off.
Get him out of here.
So yeah, get him out there with his favorite. I'm not surprised at all. I think we got a lot of talent in Moto2, and I can't wait to see a lot of them in MotoGP. And they're gonna get their shot, because these kids are young. When I tell you they're young, they're young.
Yeah. I mean, if those back 5 guys don't get out of there, they ain't getting their shot, man. That's kind of what I mean. There's so many bunch of guys in Moto2 that, like you said, that top 10 in Moto2, they can go anywhere. They're all that good and that close, but they need a shot.
Let me ask you a question. Would you rather see Luca Marini for the next 5 years, or would you rather see Marquez for another 5 years?
Marquez.
He's cutting his own Honda.
No, be honest now, Marquez, because he's up front, trying to win. Honestly.
If Marquez was on the Honda, I'm talking about. Of course, if he's
okay,
from Luca Marini back on the Ducati, then I still rather see Marini what he gonna be instead of what already Marquez has proven to be. Marquez is falling back. He's a third place rider now. That's what he is. It's not gonna change when he's on the 2025.
You think so?
No.
All right, we'll see, man.
Celestine Vietes moving to the speed up, replacing Fermin Aldeguer for next year. The mistake by Jake Dixon. We seen it. We talked about it. You mentioned it, Smitty, with Aleix. Has that happened to you guys in a race? I've forgotten what lap I'm in. I've done that, but and I've seen other guys pitted one lap early, thinking the race is over too. It's kind of a common thing sometimes to just lose where you are. But you think with the flags, you would
right, white flag, checker flag, you would know, right?
You would know.
How to do that.
So
yeah, that's happened to me before in a race. I remember it too, clear as day. And I told myself I pulled in the lace. It's crazy to say it's like Shaqtin' a fool, or something like that. He's made a thing, But you get such in a tunnel vision or like a mode where you just so focused. I don't know what happened, honestly. I think the halfway flag came out, or I must have seen a flag where the next lap I thought it was over, but I went into turn one, let off a little bit, and 3 riders went by me quick. And I was just like, whoa, what's going on? I looked up at the podium, and it was like, I think it said 2 or 3 laps left. And I was like, what the hell? And I just got back on it. Felt a little embarrassed my own self, but it's happened to me.
Okay. Me, no, it has happened. I don't know how to. I don't know how. Like I say, you got a white flag. Look at a white flag, then go check it. But I don't get it, honestly.
No, definitely. Go ahead.
I don't race, so that hasn't happened to me. But I guess on a track day, like I have run the checker flag. It happened to me one time where I ran the checker flag and I had to do the lap of shame. So everyone's like waiting for you to come off the track.
Yeah.
So that's happened to me. So that's the closest thing to that, where I did an extra lap. Right. But that's how I am. I think if I were racing, if I were to go racing, I'd be the guy that doesn't stop. Like I go by the check and I got them, and I'm still kind of in the zone, like still going, which is just as dangerous too, right? Because you can impact somebody else. And I saw that happen. Right. I rode Atlanta where they hit Loris Bass.
Yes.
The guy was in the tuck and hit Loris Bass.
Escalante, right.
Yeah. So I can't imagine losing, but it's happened to the best of them, right? Rossi got caught out there.
Yeah. No, it does. It's human error. It's human. I feel bad for Jake Dixon because he's had a lot. He's had a lot of bad luck. He got jacked up on practice session. He was a high side, and I think the bike was stuck over him and stuff like that. So he was already riding wounded anyway, and to have that happen to him is horrible. You mentioned riders, getting out the way so these young riders can come up. Over the weekend, they said Dennis Faggia is going back to Moto3, so he's getting demoted.
Okay.
That's happened to a couple of riders. We saw it happen with Sam Lowe's when he went to Aprilia and came back down.
Yeah.
Does something like that, does that affect the rider? like I mean, we won't know until next year for sure for Fajia. It's like you're promoted, and then you get, your boss tells you, you got this corner office, and then 6 months later, it's like, all right, man, you gotta go downstairs. You know what I'm saying? By the elevator. I'm not saying that's what the team he's going to is like, but it's like psychologically that has to have a little bit of effect on the guy, right?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I mean, it's just I mean, you want to know what you're doing so you can give a good performance. Like it's just how Trackstars was saying about the contracts. Like MotoGP needs to set in stone like either beginning or the end of the year, so you know what you're doing, and no one wants to go backwards. So you can have a clean season if you know where you're headed. Yeah, but I don't think you should go backwards. Like to go back down. That wouldn't be. That was not a good feeling. That would definitely mess with me and my performance.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Like imagine playing high school football and you're a senior on varsity. Then all of a sudden, you know what? Go play JV. It's like, damn, really? You're playing with kids now that you should dominate.
Right.
So it's embarrassing, almost.
What about the kids that ain't playing?
It happens in baseball. You get hurt. You go training AA in AAA. For a few games. Then you come back if things are good. NBA, you could go down to the G League. You know what I mean, and then come back if you get another contract. I think that performance matters, especially in Moto2. They're able to do that because, like I said, everyone's on the same platform, so there's no excuse for you not to perform. And if somebody else in Moto3 is doing that good, they should have a seat on the Moto2 platform to see if they deserve to right away go to MotoGP. So MotoGP is where it gets tricky, right? Because it's not necessarily the rider. People know that certain manufacturers are having a hard time making a bike acclimate or rideable for various riders, right? And Honda's one of those bikes.
Right.
KTM has shown that many people can ride it. Aprilia has shown that many people can ride it. Ducati obviously finally has a bike that many people can ride. They had the same situation Honda had, and Yamaha has always been a bike that people can ride, but unfortunately it just doesn't have the power. So that's what Yamaha has to work on, and they figured something out because it seems to be working right now. And I'm excited for what they're gonna have next year. But like I was saying in the last episode, I'm worried about a champion, because Martin, I believe, will win the championship. I feel like 85% sure that he's gonna win this championship, and then go to a bike like Aprilia. And how will Aprilia, wearing the number one plate, because he will be the champion, and that plate will go with him. It doesn't stay with Ducati. Have a number one plate and be where on the grid next year.
Right.
Those are the things that's really stressing me out. I think all this stuff about where riders are gonna place, these riders are gonna put themselves right where they belong. Jack Miller, I don't see him too long in MotoGP. Marquez, I don't see him too long. Marquez has 3 years max. That's a fact. Marquez gonna be out of here in 3 years. He has next year to win on Ducati. If he doesn't win, I anticipate him going back to Honda.
Mm-hmm.
Honda will probably have a much better bike than this year, and he'll feel he could win on that. And do his little retirement thing the following year after that. So I got 3 years on Marquez. I got another year or two on Jack Miller. I think he'll be gone soon. He just had a kid. He has a family. He's getting money to just kind of ride off into the sunset.
Right.
He could go to World Superbike if he still wants to race, just like he did when he retired the first time and went to that Australian Championship. Another rider that I think will probably be out of here soon is Zarco also. I think
Really?
Zarco will be gone from MotoGP 2 in another 3 years. It's too many young guns coming, man. And those contracts will be a lot more valuable and a lot more how you say, bringing new life into MotoGP.
Right. Yeah, no, I could see 4 years for Zarco because he's already over 30, and maybe fall back to again. He can go to World Superbike too, and I think at probably any age at this point, just making fun of Alvaro because he's one of the older guys and still running in the top 3 out there, former MotoGP racer. Before we say goodnight, what are your thoughts before, you said track stars, you said 85% chance for Martin to win. Is there a scenario where Pecco doesn't go to jail and can for winning the championship this year? Because is it pretty much 85% is pretty much deal done? Start with you, TJ.
Okay. I think I was just about to check since it came up on us quick, I didn't check the stats for last year's Catalunya race and stuff like that just to see in some stats. But I think definitely it's about 85% done. I mean, to be honest, Martin pretty much just got to focus on the GP race and like where the most points are. I mean, he'll place in the sprint. The Catalunya has a lot of hard turns. It's a physical track. It's an intense high speed track too. So hopefully there's not a lot of traffic. He can get out front.
Yeah, TJ. Espargo 1, Vinales 2, Martin 3, Zarco 4 last year.
Okay.
And the year before?
Got me doing my homework now. Go ahead, TJ.
Not yet.
Nah, so for me, my thoughts, he's down with 24 points. That's a lot. He has to hope that Martin crashes in the main race.
Mm-hmm.
But if San Martin does well in the sprint race, it's a wrap if he beats him there. So Pecco has to win. Pecco has to slow the field down to push Martin back. But yeah, 100% chance Martin is the champion, honestly. But what's odd also now with this year, Pecco is the only rider in history to have a 10-win season and not win the championship.
8 DNFs.
Huh?
Okay.
8 DNFs.
Yeah, Giacomo, he 110. Who else? Duhan, Rossi, Stoner, Marquez.
Yeah.
And they all won.
Crazy stat though.
Yeah, and they all won it that year.
So
Pecco's the only guy.
track stars 2022 Quartararo, Martin, Zarco, and Joan Mir on a Suzuki in 2020.
You see, this is one of those things, right, where they picked a track that benefits Martin. I feel like they I guess they had to pick a place in Spain, you know. But I still, when Martin's my guy, but it's just a situation where you never know with Martin, man. You never know with Martin because he's a person that he'll stab himself, he'll shoot himself with his own gun, you know.
Cheddar Bob.
Because he's also the rider that doesn't know what the safety is. Mm-hmm. He doesn't put his gun on safety ever. It can shoot whenever. So this is why he's in that situation, because he only knows one thing, and is be prepared to go. So be prepared to shoot. And if he shoots himself, it happened. I got a sensitive trigger. But yo, this year he's shown such resilience, and that's why I feel like, for real, like I'm 85%. When it was between them two fighting, I knew that Martin was gonna lose. I just felt it was 50-50 because you didn't know when Martin, and he did. He crashed. He didn't finish. He blamed the tire. He didn't get a good start. Yo, and it's a whole scenario with Martin. You just don't know what you're gonna get this year. I think for the first time we see more stability with Martin than he normally has. I'm not saying he's like solid, but we're starting to see instability with Pecco. And I think everyone's feeling it on the team, but I think it's more of the drama that they put on themselves with saying that that Marquez is the rider coming to Ducati, and they're going crazy about it. I think it's already affected them this year, and it will only affect them more next year.
Yeah,
and and you could just tell that they're feeling that confidence that they had is directly relatable to Marc Marquez, as he plays a role in every race so far towards the end, where he is that third rider or that first rider, because he's either coming in third place or first place. But what he's not doing is not being there in the podium, because he's telling everybody, I'm coming, and I'm going to win next year on this bike. This is the 2023. Imagine what I'm going to do on the 2025. But we know better than they know, and they know better than they know that he has a lot of mods of the 2024 on his bike. So it's not going to be that different. But what drama he brings and his attitude and his confidence is what's going to divide that garage right now, where Pecco and Bastianini have some camaraderie. I think Martin and Pecco would have had some similar camaraderie, but we know that this Marquez and Pecco is oil and water. It's Italy versus Spain, which is what happens in MotoGP consistently.
Yeah. Catalonia is a good track, though. Like, wasn't there a famous Rossi pass at the last corner? And then even this year, year, in World Superbike, Albert Bautista had it going into the corner, and Top Rack said, "No, you don't."
Yeah.
And so this is going to be exciting. It was a good choice. I mean, it is in Spain, but I think we'll have a good weekend ahead of us.
Yeah,
I'm hoping, and trust me, this will be the best scenario. Martin wins the sprint, gets crowned champion from the sprint race, and we just let them go balls out, go crazy in the race. Because I don't want to see nothing safe in the race. I just want to see who's better. Just like we saw in the beginning, Pecco and Martin could have done that for more laps to go. But Martin had to be smart. I cannot lose these points going back and forth for him. The best case scenario for Pecco during the beginning of the race was for Martin to crash. That was the intent. If we both crash, we both lose the points. But if you crash and I stay up, I'm Gucci. I'm back in.
Yeah.
But Martin didn't fall for that. After he had that scare, I don't know if you noticed it. After he had that scare, he chilled. He said, "No, I'm gonna see what happens." All of a sudden, he's bringing him back, and he's like, "Let me just chill. I'm gonna take second."
Right. Okay.
And that's what happened. I mean, Martin's just a lot more mature, but I want to see Martin beat Pecco, like beat him, like not no. Let's go race. Let me show the world that I'm the best on this Ducati.
He's not. Pecco is. Pecco won 10 of the GP races. Martin's won on the sprint. The only time that Martin has done better than Pecco, I'm not going only for facts, is when Pecco's crashed out of those DNFs that he has. And yes, Pecco made more mistakes, so he's down in the points. But head to head, I think in the GP race, Pecco's shown that he's a superior rider to Martin, especially in the GP races, not the sprints.
Nah, come on, man. Come on.
I agree with that.
You agree with
races did?
The only races Pecco really win is the GP race. He don't really win sprints. Yeah. Martin wins a lot of sprints.
I think Martin won like 5.
This year's a little different. This year's a little different, but
the sprint is a race.
No, it is a race.
He's been dominating the sprint since it's been introduced, and it's something new to everybody. The races is what everybody's been doing.
The riders don't consider. The riders don't put the same value on the sprint race that we do, by the way.
Oh, because they're not winning it. I wouldn't either if I'm losing. Okay. I wouldn't either if I'm losing. But a win is a win, right? And a loss is a loss. And remember, consistency throughout the year, that matters. That's why he's about to be crowned champion. Right. To me, Martin is the better rider. I think if we talk about mentally, that's where the difference comes between Pecco and
Martin.
And Martin. It's like I hate making this comparison, but man, it's like and it's not, this is a bad comparison. I was gonna say something, but now that I think about it, it doesn't make sense. But you got players in the league, right? Huh?
I want to hear the comparison. Yeah.
I was gonna say, you got a player like Robert Horry who you give the ball to and he's gonna hit that last shot every time, right? This is just a mental strength that Robert Horry has to make feel that pressure of making at the last minute and know you're gonna make it every time, as opposed to a player like let's say
Shaq at the fall line.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, right? Because Shaq is not a free throw shooter, but he's gonna give you 32 points throughout the game. You know what I mean? So who you want at the end? If you have to pick, they're the last two players to pick. Who you gonna pick, Shaq or Robert Horry? I think. Thank you for helping me. That's kind of what we have with Jorge Martin and Pecco. I'm gonna choose Shaq every day. I'm gonna choose Jorge Martin every day because I know that he's gonna give me what I need every time. And not to say that Pecco's so dependable and he's the safe pick, but sometimes in racing you have to take the risk taker too, because that's what racing is. Racing is finding the limit. That's what makes Marquez so good. I think Martin's just a little more scared of the limit than Marquez. Marquez has no fear for the limit. Right. He makes a new limit once he finds a limit. Right. And the bike's not even aware of it. But with Martin is always like tipping towards the limit, and Pecco's like a computer. It's programmed to do this, and it will do it consistently every time. But not every time are you gonna get the win.
Right. Man.
It's just gonna work.
All right, I'm looking forward to next week. I mean, I could keep going and talking. I almost want to bring up. Did you guys? I'm gonna bring it up. Did you guys see Ducati has a new Panigale out?
V2?
Is the middleweight game back in play with less restrictions now for Ducati and the other manufacturers? Because it seems like Yamaha did it, and I didn't think Ducati was going to go that way, but they pretty much follow what Yamaha did.
Not only Yamaha, KTM, Aprilia, they all did it.
What size is the bike?
890 cc. So it's almost
That's
37
CF
pounds
motor.
lighter. 37 pounds lighter. And 120,
How much they want for it?
120 horsepower right now without the race exhaust. I think base model is under 15. S model I think is
Okay.
under 18, 17 and change, 16 and change. Don't hold me to those numbers.
More affordable Ducati bike. I see. Okay.
Definitely.
But is it more affordable? I mean, right? Like they fooling you with the numbers. They
I mean,
put
the baseline,
B4
yeah.
all the way up to 21,000, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like they knew this was going on. We're gonna get the most money that we can.
Well, you're a Ducati fanatic, so like, say if I just want one Ducati bike, it's not really gonna play me like that, you know. Like I just get something that I feel is most comfortable for me. I don't know. That's just how I feel.
No, they did it smart, TJ. Ducati did it the smartest way possible. They waited for every manufacturer to
Drop theirs.
delete their 600. They deleted it. Yamaha did it. Suzuki did it. KTM did it.
Not Honda.
Triumph. Well, yeah, Triumph did it.
Honda's the only one with a 600.
No, Honda still has one.
Yeah, and it's underpowered, right? It's not. It doesn't have more than 120.
I'm not sure what it has, but are you following BSB or not?
Yeah, I like BSB. I'm not watching it like that though. I'm not gonna lie.
So in the BSB this year, Honda's the 600 won the championship. So it's a good bike.
That's what's up.
No, I'm not saying. Listen, in 600, like prior, every bike is a good bike. But we're talking about right now. Everyone changed the playing field of what the 600 class looks like, how it's powered, and really, Honda is the only one for the public that is still in it, right? Available. There's no R6. You can't buy it unless it's for racing. Right. It doesn't come with lights. The KTM doesn't now. Now it has it. Now they have lights, but it's still underpowered. It's not like a 130 plus horsepower motorcycle. So Ducati did the smart thing. Wait till all of them make up their mind that this is what they're doing. Okay, now we'll do it. Because if it's about racing for real, every time Ducati was out there, it has too many CCs. They have to go through too much to descale the bike and underpower it to make it competitive. So this was the right move. As far as selling motorcycles, they're gonna sell regardless. Why? Because it's equal to everything, and it has the Ducati name. It's over.
I'm not rich, so like I'm not spending 25, 30 grand for a bike. Whereas, say if they come out with a better one 2 years after that, if I try to resell that one, I already lost 3/4 of the value.
Well, right now,
I'm just saying this one is more affordable.
What manufacturer isn't coming out with a new bike the next year? Every 2 years, every manufacturer is changing a motorcycle just to stay competitive.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying Ducati finally dropped a bike that's under 20 grand.
No, there's other bikes under 20. No, there's definitely other bikes under 20, but
the V2's been at between 18,000 out the door. The only thing that made it go up to 20 was the Bayless, and now the numbered bikes go up to like 20,000. Right? And
I'm talking more
final edition.
I'm talking more sport bikes too. I'm sure there's like, the naked bikes and all that stuff that could be in a reasonable price, but talking about all sport. So
no, I do agree. It's when I saw the photo, I wondered about the price, and to see it, similar to some of their naked bikes and stuff like that. I mean, I think it's a pretty good price. I don't know what Honda's, Yamaha triple engine. I think they're like around 12 coming in, I think, for their new bike they just come out with. So to be $3 grand more, you know, are you getting a better? I mean, I'm a Ducati guy, so are you getting a better bike overall? You know, probably, but you could probably ride that bike stock in the beginning and be completely fine with it. So I don't think bikes are gonna get back down to under 10 grand. But it's nicer to see it start at 14 and not, you know, be like 18, 19. Because I did kind of look at the V2s. And when you can get a V4, I mean, now the V4s are like 24, but when the V4s are like 22 and change, it was really hard for me to be like, oh, let me look at the V2 when it's sitting around 18.
No, that's where the game changes, right? For Ducati, because Ducati has the 1100, and the other manufacturers are true 1000s. So the prices of the true 1000s are still significantly different to the 1100 of the. So, for example, the BMW, brand new BMW with the new modifications, new race fairings, more horsepower, is way under the Ducati price.
Right.
So, and that's is crazy because that bike looks identical to the top of the line motorcycle that's going out, which was their M. Now their M is at 218 horsepower and is priced at
8 or
6 or
change.
38.
Yeah, over 38, I believe.
Yeah, like 36,000 almost out the door, 38. So then now they're still under the V4R number, which is gonna be probably 46, 47,000 in 2026. We know this number is only gonna keep going up, up, up. So. Right. That's where I don't know what's gonna happen with Ducati as far as selling bikes when BMW has just given so much to its buyer.
Yeah.
And we saw at the motorcycle show, Aprilia revised their motorcycle.
RSV4, yeah.
So Aprilia put up with a brand new RSV4. They changed the wing out. Man, next year is gonna be insane, and I hope that with this new election, we're all making a lot more money. The economy goes back up, and we're able to afford all this candy that's out here. Because, man, it's gonna be fun to see all these bikes out on the track.
Definitely. And with that, let's give a shout out to the sponsors because we can keep going. But I think we have a hard stop at 10 p.m.
There we go.
We get it home.
Definitely want to shout
my
out.
wife about to kill me. That's what it is.
Yeah. Right. J&G Performance, Woodcraft Technologies, Official Vortex, and Hideaway RV Rentals always support me during my track season.
Like I said, Smith Shot Racing. Good night, fellas. Had a good show as usual.
I want to shout out Dyneza, baby, AGB. Hey. Mention Track Stars at any other stores and get some love. HSBK, Ducati New York, Warhorse. Use Warhorse at warhorse.nyc. Get any merch. Use Trackstars 23 at checkout. At HSBK, call and mention Trackstars. They'll hook you up with any motorcycle parts you need. AEM, use Trackstars at checkout also. This is for your bike sprockets, levers, and nice candy for MB Agusta, Ducati, and damn, forgot what's the other bike.
One more.
Don't ever get on the podium.
But like I always say, stay up on tools. Follow me on Instagram. Yes, your boy Trackstars.
No doubt. Shout out to Workbench Technology. Go to Workbench Tech. Solve all your IT problems. Also go to B4evaKool.com. We got merch on the store page. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment as well. My name is Rex45.
TJ with 2 L's and coffee.
Smitty.
Your boy Trackstars. Peace.
Peace.